Hi, I'm Doug Daugherty, president of Hamilton Flourishing, and we're glad you've joined us today on another video discussion with leaders across Hamilton County. And I'm really thrilled today that you're with us because we're talking to Arch Trimble, who has just been elected in March as the new chairman of the Hamilton County Grand Old Party, the GOP, the Republican Party in Chattanooga in Hamilton County. So we're thrilled to be able to talk to Arch. He's a young man, got lots of energy, lots of ideas. So what is the conservative side of Chattanooga, at least the party side? Where is it going? What is it going to do? So that's kind of the things we want to talk about and hear Arch's passion in his heart, and you'll get to meet him. So Arch, thank you for coming and being here.
Doug, thanks, and thanks to Hamilton Flourishing for having me this afternoon. I'm very much looking forward to our discussion, sir.
Yeah, it's great. Now, you're a multi-generational Chattanoogan. You were telling me you all have been here for quite a while.
We have. We've been here there are now 5 arches, and we've been here since before the first arch. Family's been involved in insurance for about 70 years. I'm actually a 4th-generation insurance agent. Company was started originally by my great-grandfather, who was a former property assessor in Hamilton County, and my grandfather, who was the battalion commander at the Marine Corps unit when it was at Coolidge Park down the road. So,
wow, so you all have been entwined in the community for a long time.
We have. Hamilton County's been very good to our family.
Yeah, well, it's good to invest in your community if they've been good to you. And you live up on Signal Mountain, back on the back side?
I do. I live in Walden over in Summertown, a great little family community up there. Yeah. Married with a couple of young boys, Arch V and Baker, and those two are my entire life. Wonderful young kids. Arch started playing t-ball a couple of weeks ago, and I got volunteered as an assistant coach, and I tell you, it's more fun than I've had in a long time.
Isn't it great?
It is so much fun.
It is great. I coached up on the mountain for 12 years. Different sports, but mostly soccer, and we had 6 kids, and I just had more fun. I mean, you would think I was some kind of college coach. I would map out the strategy for the whole games on Thursday and Friday, and I'd take all these maps and drawings to these 6-year-old kids and say, "You gonna do this? You gonna do this?" I got totally involved, and it was great. Well, let's talk about the Hamilton County Republican Party. You're the new chairman. You're a young guy. You're
36.
36. I think that's great. You got a lot of energy. You've got a lot of business experience. You're very friendly. You're easy to talk to. You're the director of strategic relations at Rowland Slayton and Stevens.
Rowland Slayton Stevens Insurance, RSS.
RSS. And glad to hear that. And so. Tell me tell me where you're going. Tell me what the vision that you had. I heard you talking. I was at the convention, and I heard you talking in line to different people, talking about kind of where you wanted it. Really, I thought it was really smart. But talk about where you think the party needs to go to, because we're losing local elections.
We are.
And,
we're losing municipal seats now.
Yeah.
And the next step is to lose city council seats and to lose county commission seats. Yeah. And the next step after that is house seats. And that's really where the dominoes start falling. You know, for years and years, this county, and you saw it growing up, was always a conservative Democratic town. And through a lot of folks, Harold Coker and Marty Von Schaaf, really built our party and gave us an apparatus that allowed us to capture literally every office in this town. And over the last 10 years, you know, we probably sat on our laurels a little bit more than we should have. You know, when you have everything, you don't generally fight the other side, you fight amongst yourselves. And one of the things that we really want to do is we want to support Republicans. Part of my agenda is not talking about the bad things that the other side is doing and not gotcha moments. We've got so many good conservatives here in Hamilton County that are doing good things for everyday citizens, and I think it's very important for us to talk about their good work and to start building trust in the community. That's how we start at a grassroots level to really turn this thing around. You know, in the past, the chairman's job has always been to put Republicans in seats. Well, we have still at the higher level, most seats are Republican held. It's what I believe is my job to protect those seats and to cultivate good candidates to replace them if they move on to other seats or if they retire or move out of the state. I think that one thing that we need to do that we haven't done is really plan for the future. The other side has had voter outreach, candidate outreach. They have messaging that is better than ours. And quite frankly, I believe in the attitude of Hamilton County first. I obviously care about what happens in Washington. I care about what happens in Nashville, but I don't believe we fix the problems that we have in our country unless we fix what happens inside our borders first. And that starts at the grassroots level.
Well, and there's a lot at stake. I mean, people make fun of the school board race, but it's the biggest employer in the city. They educate 44,500 students. All of our property tax money basically goes into the schools. It's a huge enterprise. And, you know, you think about those responsibilities of money, people, personnel, and all those minds and hopes that they're cultivating. That's a huge deal, and we're supposed to have an elected school board that runs it, but I've talked to many school board members and they say, well, what's your job? And they say, well, I work for the superintendent. I said, wait a minute, that's backwards.
That's backwards. I mean, that's exactly right.
You hire him. You don't work for him, he works for you. But anyway, that's an example to me of something that's small. It's exceedingly important.
It absolutely is.
And, you know, it doesn't get the attention, even though I think it's a nonpartisan.
They are, all school board races are nonpartisan, but I make the argument, and I have a 4-year-old and I have a 2-year-old that are soon to enter county schools. And we are very, very proud of our county schools on Signal Mountain. We have good teachers, but more importantly, we have good families and good parents that buy into the system and really help their kids learn. And I think that the schools have it a lot harder than they have in the past because the family dynamic has changed. I am a very large proponent in nuclear families and being able to build educational resources for the future. Now, you know as well as I do in this county that it's different than a lot of other places. The city handed over control in the early 2000s to the county, so the school board can't actually levy taxes. They are beholden to the county government to do that. So they're in a tough position, but I think it's important for us that we realize that everybody always talks about your children being the future. Your children are the future, but more importantly, what we teach them now will ingrain to them the way that we want them brought up in the future, the things that we want them to believe in. Not a liberal agenda or a conservative agenda. We want to teach them the facts. That's the most important thing. Unbiased education.
Well, so the county has, I think, 160 precincts.
It's a lot. Right? They've condensed a few, but we have a large amount of precincts.
And everyone has their own voting and stuff like that. And so, are you going to do anything? I mean, are you going to push towards some kind of organizational capacity for all, to have a grassroots ground game?
We are. So one of the things I think that we have done in the past, but we haven't done recently, is really lean on community advisory boards, and I mean that county commission community advisory boards. What we're trying to do now is to put together groups of like-minded folks in each one of these 9 county commission districts made up of elected officials, business leaders, active politicos, people that know what's going on the ground in their area.
Yeah.
And part of our reorganization is to bring them into the party and have them report what goes on a daily basis to the CEC so we can be more informed. You know, as the party chair, I'm responsible for over 150,000, quote, voting Republicans. I can't know what is going on in every one of their minds, but if we can put good, trusted people that can be our ears on the ground, I think that gives us a good shot to really target our resources and really start to turn the tide at those levels.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. You know, I know, who was I? I was talking to one of the people who ran for mayor, And when I told them that Trump had gotten 47% of the vote in Chattanooga, this is a person running for mayor, and they said, that's not true. I said, no, it is true. And now he won Hamilton County, but he didn't win the city of Chattanooga. But 47%, especially in a low turnout election, is a lot of people. It's supposed to be nonpartisan, but you know, people are looking for, what I've learned is they're looking, conservatives tend to want a limited government, and other people want a more expansive government, and that seems to be kind of a divide there. And I interviewed 30 of the people that were running for city races, and that was the hardest thing to get out of them, was kind of where they were philosophically about limited government versus expansive government. And it was very educational for me to kind of go through that process. Well, I'm real interested. Are you guys going to recruit candidates?
Absolutely. My two top priorities, Doug, are candidate cultivation and voter outreach. We have to plan for the future. You know as well as I do, we've had some incredible conservative leadership in this town, over in this county, for the last number of years, but a lot of those folks are getting long in the tooth, and they may not run for another couple of terms. Who do we replace them with? Who do we put in office that can carry on that legacy? I'm obviously younger than most of the party chairs have been since Congressman Wamp, who did a fantastic job. I would certainly love to lead just like he and like Congressman Fleischman have done, to really carry Hamilton County forward. But I think the most important thing that we do is concentrate locally. No matter what we do, as I said, we're not going to fix the problems anywhere unless we fix the problems in our neighborhood first. And part of the reason I think that the other side has been more successful is because they've been willing to do the things that we haven't been willing to do. Go knock on doors and talk to people. You don't go up there with a list of 3 or 4 talking points. You want to know what's going on in these people's lives. We need to find out what's really affecting them, because what we believe as a party may not be what is actually on the ground. But candidate cultivation, and not only in every commission district, but every municipality, is very important. I don't believe that we start at a county level. I believe that we start in East Ridge. I believe that we start on Walden Town Council, and I believe that we start in Red Bank, just down the road from here.
Well, there's 80,000 people in Hamilton County that live in the municipality.
Yes, there are.
Not including Chattanooga. I'm not counting Chattanooga as a municipality, but there's 80,000 people. And they all elect their own commissions or councils, whatever they call them, and they elect their own mayor. They sort out who's going to be mayor in different ways. But, you know, nobody hardly pays any attention to those things. And as somebody who's lived on Signal Mountain for 30-something years, it's really odd what they do pay attention to.
It is. We were talking about that before the interview. What we think is important and what they think is important is very different. Now, I'll give you an example. Mayor David Howell out of Lakeside has done a tremendous job in that municipality in the last number of years, bringing in new businesses. As he said at Pachyderm Monday, they think they're the smoothie headquarters in the world because they've had another couple of shops open. But they're trying to do what Red Bank has done and really build it from the ground up. And I really think that, politics aside, how we get our message across is by showing people the hard work and showing them the things that we do to build the communities, and working and being there every day. You know, I said it at the convention, and I'll say it again. Marty Haynes working at the Appison Food Pantry on Fridays, helping underprivileged families get food. Those are the things that matter to me more than anything else. I can sit up here and talk until I'm blue in the face, but until I'm willing to get my hands dirty, I'm nothing but a talking head.
So Arch, talk a little bit more about the future. We've talked a little bit about putting a face on being a Republican. I think that's kind of what you've been talking about. And organizationally, the convention was energizing because the precincts were.
We had a lot of folks there, didn't we?
We really did.
That was awesome to see. The last couple of conventions, we haven't had as many folks as we've liked, and lo and behold, in the middle of a COVID pandemic, conservatives showed up and were ready to ready to have their voices heard. You know, one thing I've heard a lot, Doug, in going around Hamilton County is people have felt for a while now that the Republican Party locally has become very reactionary. We are the party of independent thought, and we are proactive people. Why I believe our message is better is because we're harder working and we get in front of our problems. And I think that message has been lost in the last couple of years. For one reason or another, we haven't controlled the narrative as well as we used to. You know, Republicans are now locally and nationally seen by a lot of folks as the boogeyman. Well, let me tell you, Republicans were the party of Lincoln. Republicans were the party that emancipated the slaves. Historically, we have always been as inclusive or more inclusive than the other side. And one of the things that we really are looking at, and it's not just the Hamilton County Republican Party, we have a number of auxiliary clubs under it that we're trying to get in line. What we want to do is, I'm a big fan of the Southern Baptist revivals of the early 20th century, big tent revivals. I want as many like-minded people in our tent as we can have. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that the race to the right has done us any good. I am a conservative because I believe in low taxes, because I believe in small or limited government, and I'm pro-life. Mm-hmm. That's where I leave the argument for being a Republican. I don't think getting into the weeds does us any good, and all it does is, quite honestly, make us fight each other more. My job is to empower the people that are in office and to empower the people that want to be in office or to want to help people on the ground, and that's what we have to get back to. We've got to rebuild volunteer bases and donor databases and all these things that have been done in the past, but we just kind of, for one reason or another, when you're doing so good, you don't necessarily mind the store as well as you have. Mm-hmm. But I think that we've got to team together, a great group of officers and a great group of community leaders that have really come together and seen that it's time to really get this thing back in shape. I take great pride in the fact that we were able to bring folks that had left this party for one reason or another back into the fold. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily because they aligned with me or my opponent. It was because they saw a need and they were tired of seeing the things they were seeing in the newspaper, and everything that you would read or watch on television was anti-conservative. And that's not who we are. We are a group of hardworking and honest people, and that's what I want people to see, is all the good that we do.
Yeah, that's an interesting discussion. I think a lot about the legacy of Lee Anderson, and he had such influence on the thinking people in Chattanooga back when newspapers were a big deal. And he won all kinds of national awards for his writing, and you know, it was just amazing, the influence. I mean, people would walk into the voting booth with his editorial in one hand, and they just whatever he said. I mean, because a lot of times people run for these offices and you don't know who they are, and you go into it and you say, "Who is this?" But you know, we don't have that. We don't have that kind of. Nobody's steering that sort of message ship anymore, and I don't even. And that's a real challenge. Well, how do you do that? Can you even do that? Social media seems to chop things up as opposed to unite things. But you know, I'm really glad. Can you repeat those three planks
Absolutely.
that you were just talking about?
Low taxes, small government, pro-life.
Well, I'm with you there.
Those things are ingrained on the inside of my eyelids, I promise you. I'm a fifth-generation Church of Christ member, and those are things I believed in for a very, very long time. And I think when we step back and we look at that argument, there's not much to disagree with there. I think everybody would agree that having more money in their pocket is a good thing. I'm a big believer in self-determination. I think I make better decisions with my resources and for my family than the government does.
Yes.
That's a simple argument.
Yes.
I don't believe in a bloated local government, school government, or federal government, and I believe in the rights of an unborn child. Outside of that, I don't have much to offer, but I'll preach those things until they don't let me anymore.
Yeah, that's good. I just was talking to a national pro-life leader, and she told me an interesting fact that 25% of the vote in this country will not vote for somebody who's not pro-life.
That's true. That is absolutely a true statement.
They will just not vote for somebody. They'll just either sit out or they won't vote. I mean, they just won't vote. Well, we've kind of covered everything, kind of where you're going. What's practically what would be the next steps over through? I mean, 2022 is going to be a huge year. Everything's on the table, except the U.S. Senate. I mean,
yeah, my dad always told me the only luck I had was bad luck. I am sincerely hoping that we have everybody that stays pat and runs for their seats, but I believe that we'll probably have some movement in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But as we said, it's my responsibility to protect the Republicans that we have here from Democrats, from other Republicans. I honestly believe that we are so fortunate in Hamilton County to have the leadership that we have, but we got to keep them honest, and we also have to make sure that that next generation is ready to be there.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. And the older you get, the more you realize how important that part is of bringing up the younger folks. Well, listen, this has been wonderful. And I think we're going to have on the screen a way that people can get in contact with you.
Absolutely.
So is it all right if people call you?
Please. My cell phone number, and you've got my email, post them up, and I want to talk to as many people as I can. That's my job. Okay, good for you. Good for you. We've been talking to Arch Trimble today, the 5th? 4th. The 4th? The 5th is on Signal Mountain. And Arch was elected in March of 2021 to be the chairman of the Hamilton County Republicans. And you just heard him talk about what he thinks are important issues, and with Planned Parenthood coming into town or trying to, big election on that. With Washington doing what they're doing, limited government's a big deal. So we're talking about taxes. And nobody knows what the revenue streams are going to look like with this COVID thing. So it's all those are important issues. And Arch, I'm just excited that a young guy like you is doing this. I really am. Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. And I hope you know that I need your help as much as anybody needs mine. It's important that we're all in the same boat together. Yeah. Well, good. So this is Doug Doherty, and you've been watching a Hamilton Flourishing interview with Arch Trimble, and we appreciate you watching, and we hope we see you again soon.